Here with me, myself, Flame, and Dummy, and we're about to cast this week 1 match between 20B and 4G. It should be a good match. I'm really bad at these intros, but
Yeah, you are.
last night we had 20B face up against Woopig, and they did pretty well, but wound up throwing pretty close towards the end of the match, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking for redemption here, so yep, now we're expecting the first mid rollout between...
Let's watch Clockwork here. Can never go with the Clockwork cam.
I think this is live.
Yeah, it is. And right now Clockwork is trying to take control of the upper and pretty much knocking all the scouts and soldiers off. Fell back for heals, and Blaze is going down actually. Clockwork getting a counter pick on Ash, so both roamers are traded. I feel like that benefits 4G a lot more because now the scouts can really take advantage of one less spamming class.
Yeah, Duatna actually hit about 3 or 4 good pipes in the scout combo, and it did more damage than I think that 20B was really ready for there. Nobody actually touched him, and I don't think that they were ready for the positioning.
The control point is being captured.
It looks like Shade is going to take 2. They have no Uber advantage, and I'm actually surprised that he's not just building right now. I'm not sure if 20B knows that they actually have this Uber that they can defend this point, but it looks like they're going to give it up anyway.
Yeah, they don't have position.
Although just as I say that, they back up and retake it.
So basically, because they traded players at 2, we're gonna see a stalemate here and probably a Blaze bomb. So we should probably watch Blaze, try to see what he's doing. Right now he's just spamming IT, trying to look for an opening. They shut him down because they spotted him. So he's probably gonna end up getting a buff and jumping choke or sewer. I don't know what he's still doing in IT right now. He's clearly trying to make a play over there. Or I think what 4G is actually trying to do now is rush IT. Oh no, they have a spy.
Yeah, they have a spy. They just gave him the buff. We'll see what happens on this. Banny's actually going in as the roaming soldier, switch to a spy. He's going to try to get the demo man, I would imagine. Although if he can get in a position for the medic, I'm sure he'd go for it. This is a little bit clowny, and I'm pretty sure he's been figured out.
No,
it's close. I don't know why he's deciding to stand there.
Oh,
right,
he
just
spotted.
got bumped. It's over.
Dude, he got 2-shot by his ex-teammate Sizer. That was a decent attempt. I don't think he should have stayed there that long. He got a little too scared after the soldier drop. He could have just walked straight in, but Clockwork gets a counter pick, so we're gonna see another stalemate.
Yeah, I'm not
20B
sure.
is definitely not gonna push out off of that.
I'm not sure why he decided to go spy. I guess it was more just let's try it, see if it works for the first round. Cause
yeah, it's not a bad idea because the thing is the way these things turn out is like Blaze will just bomb over and over, bait street hoops into re-pushing if Blaze doesn't get the force, and it gets kind of monotonous. You kind of gotta mix it up. Like see, like right now, Blaze is going in for a bomb and he just got completely denied. If you keep doing that over and over, you're just gonna get denied because it's obvious. But if you throw in the spy play or a sniper play, like Clockwork right now, he might be spawning sniper if they feel comfortable in holding mid. It's just basically to mix things up.
I also think that, I mean, 20B played this map yesterday for a good hour and a half. Like, they know the advantage of retaking mid. If they can hold off 2 here, like, there's no pressure on them right now. This map is really catered towards the defenders, always, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if them just literally sit here, regardless of the man advantage, unless they can force an Uber.
Ash is scout right now, actually. So this is a very, very different play
Spy,
than Danny going scout. Yeah, he's spy. Going spy when you're on the defensive is a really big risk, and if he messes this up, it's just a free pick. Oh, and he gets caught. So this is a pick for the advantage team that really they're gonna get 2 for sure.
The thing is though that they're well after that
they haven't
pick off on
forced
Sizer.
Uber
Yeah.
But this
he's
Uber's
gonna
not gonna be
spawn.
good.
No, it's not. And he was gonna spawn before the Ubers were over anyway, so it wasn't actually as huge of an advantage as I think it might have looked. Although just as I say that, Paragon's gonna go down, and it looks like the DM is just gonna pay off here. They're really low though on both teams even, but 3 players right now on 4G are sub 50 health.
They really need to play tight with Shade right now because all the 20B players are going to want to do is suicide on Shade. But actually, now that I say that, the only person alive is one soldier and Sizer, and those are probably the most passive players on the team.
Size is
now,
actually going to come up heavy, and again, this makes this point ridiculously hard to push. I mean, you push into this map, you get a pick, they respawn. That's pretty much the map. I don't know what 4G's plan is. I know that I'm sure they have.
Well, it looks like Banny is going sniper. So what they're gonna want to do is take lobby so that he can get shots off in lobby. So they're pretty much just gonna play together right now. All their entire team to take a certain area for Banny to just lay shots into 20B. They're trying really hard to get lobby right now, but they're getting spammed out.
Do you think that the sniper gives as much of an advantage as it seems? I mean, I know that they're running a counter sniper, but the second you get a pick, even with Banny right now, you're pushing. Alright, well, he just hit a headshot and got the demo. But we saw this yesterday, and it's really hard, even now, just to push, because if he doesn't get another pick, it's almost like they're still playing 5v5.
As true as that is, well, right now they definitely have the demo advantage, so they should go off that. Yeah, the Ubers are traded in lobby right now. They preferred to take the Uber trade in the last point, because taking it in lobby is kind of far back. They're not taking any ground, but it's still not a bad trade. They are getting more picks than 20B.
They're playing this really patiently, and it's working out really well for them. The demo man actually respawned before the Ubers were over, but yeah, they slowed it down. They didn't try to commit too hard on the point, and it paid off.
So I think we should watch Dewatna, since he had a big round last mid. These mids are really, especially on process, really slow developing. The Blaze does try to go for the fast rollout, and he gets a couple spam rockets on the demo, which leads to his death. So
yeah,
it looks like
actually opting not to pick up the health pack there, and somehow got a really nice sticky on a deadbolt and got the demo pick by himself almost. So
it's almost better not to go for the health pack most of the time, because even if you hit your rollout perfectly, you're always going to get hit by a sticky. So sometimes you can bait a sticky out, which in turn, that's one sticky that's not being shot at Blaze or not being shot at Dewatna, and it actually gives you a pretty big advantage going into the mid fight. Dewatna can shoot a sticky at Deadbolt while Blaze spams rockets on him, and Deadbolt didn't do damage to anyone.
Yeah, and again, the straight up DM though is winning these fights. I mean, Sizer just came in for, I guess, a gank, and Clockwork cleaned him up in about 3 or 4 scatterguns. And those 1v1 scout fights are actually a really big part of TF2 in general. You start losing them early, it gets in your head a little bit. It's one of those classes where aim is pretty much all you have, and if you start feeling unconfident in your 1v1s, it really messes you up. But again, they're gonna slow push this and try to get picks without overcommitting. Just as I say that, Dewatna goes down, and now it's 3v3.
This should be an easy point for 4G, and I think I think 20B should really be rethinking their mids right now. They should maybe try to focus on the other side, maybe do a rollout towards their sewer, cutting into the other team's health pack, because it's just not working for them right now. Blaze is putting up too much pressure on Deadbolt, and Ash isn't doing enough pressure on Dewatna right now.
Yeah, Deadbolt actually screwed up his rollout here, and he's gonna have to go through sewer. I don't think this is where he wants to be. Yeah,
well, it might pay off, because they're not going to be expecting it. And as long as his team plays off of it, as long as he keeps them off these crits right now, they're gonna they could take their first mid win here. But Clockwork just gets a pick, and so does Banny, so it's not looking good for them. And now it seems like they're a little bit overcommitted. I think Deadbolt's about to go down.
Yeah, all of 4G coming out with pretty much half health, but it doesn't even matter because they're going to get a full team wipe here and probably retake mid and probably just steamroll straight to last with that full Uber advantage. Not sure why they didn't bring the rest of their team to the right side. It seemed like they were a little unsure of where their demo was. They didn't push with him in sewer, they kind of just left him there, and he didn't get any heals at mid, and what wound up happening was the rest of the team just kind of fought 4v5, and then...
Yeah, that's kind of the most important thing too, because you want to like pocket the demo. You want to pocket the demo on mids with the scouts falling back, rotating while your soldiers jump away, but they couldn't even find Deadbolt there, so he just died on his own. I think maybe Grape went right, but other than that, no one was really around him to help.
Yeah, something else that's really, it's a big deal in these fights is that Shade's actually popping really early, and it might look kind of unnecessary, but it's getting his whole team in to the point with full health, regardless of the fact that maybe they didn't need to pop. He knew that they had the advantage, so he might as well get everyone at full buffs into an advantageous position instead of waiting for a fight or letting someone take too much damage, and it's really paying off. Their whole team groups up, and pretty much everyone gets flashed if a sticky or a rocket comes out. And it makes the fights a lot easier than if they were to try to exchange.
So what do you think 20B needs to do here in these mids? They definitely need to change something up because they're getting worse and worse as every mid unfolds. Like it seems like 4G's figuring out the way they're playing and just it's making it easier for them every round, and I feel like they need to change something soon.
I don't know if it's probably just as much of a communication issue as anything. I mean, you have Sizer on this team, probably one of the older veterans of TF2 in general, with a relatively new squad and these players, and I think it's conflicting. There's probably a lot of conflicting ideas as far as what's gonna happen. I mean, you put someone new who knows their way around the game with a team that's not as experienced, and the communication gets a little screwed up in terms of what players want to be saying versus what they're actually saying. I was talking to Sizer today actually, and he said that it's hard for him because he doesn't feel like he's in the position to be telling players what to do, especially on a team that he's only been on for 2 days. So I think we're just seeing a straight up experience battle being won here in terms of cohesion. But at the same time, we saw a 3-0 turn into a 5-4 yesterday, so don't count them out just yet. This map's pretty interesting in terms of what can happen as the game gets longer, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think Sizer, being the more experienced player, he probably wants to change up a lot of things. He's been on top teams with Banny and knows that adjustments are probably the most important part of this game. Any team can get wiped by any team in Invite on mids. Mids are pretty random. Even if you have better DM, you can lose them. But the difference is if you can make the adjustment to counter their mids. And it doesn't look like 20B, being an inexperienced team, knows really how to adjust to what's going on in mid, what's going wrong. And they just need to communicate that. They need to communicate on every end of the map what's going wrong. If the scouts are getting shot off the crates sooner, or if they need more support to take the crates, like things like that. Like just about anything. They need to communicate it and fix it as soon as possible, because otherwise, I mean, mids are like the biggest part of the game too. If you get wiped every mid, you're not gonna win. It's really tough playing from your last,
yeah,
especially on process.
Yeah, especially on process. Yeah, I mean it's also one of those maps where I think you can get away with just raw DM instead of just overthinking it. I think just going in, trying to get the heals, play off the heals, and get what you can done. I mean, it looks like they're trying to. It looks like they have a strategy. I just don't know if it's being executed to its like fullest potential. As we're gonna see this next half start, I'll be interested to see what Deadbolt winds up doing here, because he had trouble last mid with his rollouts, and his team didn't really know where he was.
Blaze doing the really fast rollout, denying the health pack again. Although, like I said, I don't think it's a big deal to get that health pack or not. What Deadbolt's doing is really good here, actually. A lot of demos tend to do this. They just sit by rock, get a buff, and then push. But the thing is, Deadbolt is not pushing. It's a little too late in the round. Like the moment his medic comes in, I think he should take that buff and push the point, shoot the scouts and soldiers off the crates, and he didn't do that.
Yeah, Ash's bomb was actually really successful, but I think that they might have overcommitted. Once the soldier got that pick, I think that was the call for the rest of 20B to back up. They had the pick pretty, like, it happened pretty early in the fight. Like, while Duatno was still standing on the point, I don't think anyone saw Ash jump in over the team and take out Shade. But what happened was everyone else kind of just YOLO'd in, and they wound up getting wiped as a result. I think if they had just played back on their medic with Ninja Nick, they'd be in a position where they could have taken mid and potentially pushed all the way, but now we're seeing them stuck with this Uber that you really can't use to push out. They're gonna try though anyway.
They are gonna have like it's an opportunity that they're just not gonna get again. A team like Froyo that doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. Not that it was a mistake to lose your medic on mid, but it's one of the only advantages you're going to find against a team like Froyotech. So it did work out, but they did use their Uber. Luckily, the Uber advantage isn't that big. It's a 20% Uber advantage for Froyo, and that's as long as they play correctly positionally, they can kite that, and they might not even have to give up second. Right now, they're showing them a little too much respect. They were playing really out of position. I guess they weren't really sure on the Uber percentages, but it is not that big. They could have held 2 for sure.
No, they definitely could have held 2. I think, again, that's the experience, I think, coming into play. They didn't have to respect that push as much as I think they did. They could have easily just bombed a soldier or scout on Shade. Shade clearly didn't have it. I mean, they knew Shade didn't have it. But
It is
Grape
going to work
just-
out for them. They didn't have to pop right away. The unfortunate thing is this could have been happening on second right now. So right now they're gonna force an Uber, maybe push out take two, but it could have been they forced Uber on two and taken middle.
Yeah, Grape
And now
actually
they
hit a
actually
lot of,
lost their medic, so
yeah, and Grape actually hit a lot of rockets there. Yeah, Ninja Nick being down is big, but I think they might try to still force mid. I don't agree with it, just because they're gonna have the respawns. They're gonna be there with buffs. And Ash is gonna try to make a play here, sitting in sewer, but yeah, he's backing up because he knows.
their
really gotta
advantage is pretty big. The Ninja Nick, the moment Ninja Nick died, someone actually should have just been at spawn waiting for him so that they could be building right away, which they didn't do. The Ubers still aren't that big, but it could have been the Uber advantage for Froyo could have been absolutely irrelevant if they had a scout waiting for or someone waiting for Ninja Nick. There'd be no way for Froyo to take advantage of this, but at this point, that they didn't build quick enough, and now Froyo's going to have a good enough advantage to push off of. They can still maybe kite, but I'm pretty sure they're going to lose two off of this, especially with their positioning right now. They're really far away. They didn't even contest second at all. At least they did force the Uber, which is good, but now they're just going to be playing an Uber advantage from last, which is really hard in general, and even harder versus a team like Froyotech.
Yeah, Shade actually probably didn't even have to pop there. Again, they're respecting the DM a little bit too much, I think. They could have held the chokes a little bit better. Their Grape's going to actually hit a really nice rocket on Bang.
Yeah, and
there.
they haven't even forced yet.
And
So
both
this is a
scouts
really
are
good
down.
situation.
Yeah, if they can come into mid now and just pop Shade, which they should. They could leave a scout for the cap. I wouldn't be surprised if, yep, here
That
it
was a
comes.
really, I don't agree with that pop though.
I don't agree with that pop.
They could have just walked in, and he could have reactively popped if there was something called, like or soldier bombing called, or if he just saw something. Preemptively popping there is a little too safe. There's just no reason for it, especially in a wide open map like this. There's not a lot of spots to check. You get a soldier and scout to push out choke and look at the awning on the right, and then maybe have someone rush straight ahead past the crates to see if someone's hiding there. There's not really a lot of reason to just pop blindly.
Clockwork actually tried to go in on Deadbolt there and got him down to around 40-ish health, and he almost made the pick, but then wound up dying. Again, I still don't know if Ninja Nick and the rest of 20B need to be backing up, although as I say that Deadbolt goes down. I feel like they could have spammed the choke and forced this Uber. I feel like Shade and the rest of 4G are in a position now to just steamroll their way to last, but Ninja Nick just got Uber, but as I say that, they're going to drop a few players, and now it's just a Scout v Soldier Uber with essentially no support. The demo is still down for 10 seconds, so if I'm Shade right now, I'm telling the rest of my team to just go, because they have the time. The spawns are going to be up in 1 and 2 seconds, though, for the rest of Red, so if Shade and the rest don't, yeah, Lansky goes down and they have to back up.
So they're in
It's
a really
maybe-
tough situation here.
Yeah,
I think they really just need to push off Uber. Like it's very risky. I'm sure a lot of teams are afraid of doing it, but I feel like in between these Ubers, now both teams are going to get Uber, but before that, I think 20B really should have just pushed. It would have been a surprise push, and I think it would have caught 4G off. And Paragon actually gets a pick, so never mind. Paragon's
His
amazing.
sniper's actually been really on point the past day or two. He hit a lot of headshots I thought he shouldn't have yesterday, but the trade comes out now on Clockwork getting Ash down.
I don't know if I agree with that suicide. You normally get a pick and you send someone a suicide, but when Paragon's on sniper, I think what you should be doing is trying to take ground. For example, maybe the combo taking lobby, making sure 4G can't hold it, and then letting Paragon take more shots, or maybe taking far right.
At the same time, I don't know what Paragon's trying to achieve here. Even if they do get a pick off here, unless it's on the medic, they're not, which he should never get from anywhere sniping on this last point. There's not really much advantage being given to them. If I were him, I'd be waiting for them to push, try to get the pick off in the back of the Uber or something, because even if they get a headshot and someone goes down, they're just going to delay the push a little bit more. It's not going to give them an advantage enough for where they can push out of last.
Look for Ash to go for another play here with the Band-Aid pick. I think it's a little too predictable though. It's generally what you want to do. You want to send your roamer or scout, and after you get a pick, but it's just Froyo is going to be expecting that. I think you need to throw something different in. I think when you get one pick, you need to almost do a full push out. You don't want to overcommit and to the point where you're going to die. but you need to spam, like, at least attempt a spam war to spam them out of a certain area, and then take it area by area. Spam out lobby, take lobby, and then spam out bats and try to take bats.
I also like to note what just happened there. 4G kind of just pushed in, popped their Uber. Didn't seem like they were trying to get much done, but what they did was they forced Ninja Nick, and now they're pretty much saying, fight us with heals, like we don't care about the flashes.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of what we talked about on Froyo. When I was on the team, I feel like we didn't Uber in and just trade Ubers enough, and then just back out and repush with heals. I feel like that a team with this level of DM should just not even care about Uber. Just cycle Ubers and then repush without it. You're gonna win more pushes than not, especially with Clockwork and Banny running around. They're so hard to kill, and they have such a high amount of fragging power. There's no way that that wouldn't work out.
We saw that happen yesterday too, actually, and I'm surprised more teams don't do it. If your medic can just out-efficiency the other medic, it's enough for you to win fights. Like we see a lot of stalemates in these matches, especially even this one, where it's kind of like, let's wait for Uber, we'll push with Uber. Let's back up, wait till we get Uber, and then get Uber, and then push him with Uber. Uber is not exactly an automatic one fight, and we've seen it time and time again where teams will. Medics or inexperienced medics will just hold their Ubers until they get low or until their soldier gets low, and sometimes it winds up wasting the Uber. You don't always want to use Ubers just to fight. You want to use them to get advantages, like positioning. If you can get your soldiers or your demo in a high ground position with full health and full ammo, then you might as well use the Uber to do that instead of trying to milk it or save a soldier who's got 10 health who has to drain your entire Uber anyway.
That was ridiculously unlucky by Ninja Nick. So Ninja Nick came out of choke. They did a push that I completely agree with. I feel like leaving a scout or two to cap second while you push mid is really smart, because 4G was down 2. Like, you're not going to get another chance like that. But the problem is a Dewatna roller ended up actually direct piping Ninja Nick while Blaze shot rocket at him, and he just died instantly. They both hit at the same time. Very unfortunate. Yeah,
and we're seeing this situation again where one medic has massive Uber advantage on the other, but at this point it's still really hard to push. I'm sure that it's going to drag out a little bit, and I feel like maybe 4G is giving them a little bit too much time to build, but at the same time, if they go in and don't force or don't get the medic, then they're at a really big disadvantage. But it looks like they're going to try to go in and try to make plays, but Ash is actually stuck in that, Ash is down in that hallway getting a lot of shots off.
This is really smart. So Deadbolt is just leaving stickies all on the point, so they don't even care about the point anymore. 4G doesn't care about the point. They went for kills. They don't have stickies to do damage. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I don't even actually understand how that didn't work, because if you're fighting a team with an Uber advantage that isn't even using stickies, you should really win that fight, especially as LAN champions. Like, you guys just, I don't know. I feel like they half-assed it. They went to the point, realized there were stickies, and fought from the point when they should have chased all the way in, overcommitted on them. They don't have stickies. There's no way they're gonna kill you.
Yeah, the map almost lulls teams into thinking that they need to get on the point. I mean, it's important, obviously, but this map's not like Badlands where you can cap it in 2 seconds. Like, there is a pretty decent amount of time where you need to stand on it. You almost need to wipe them before, and wiping them is really difficult, especially since they can just back up into spawn for heals. I would have liked to see them maybe try to take the high ground above the spawn with that Uber instead of trying to just brute force them into their spawn. But 20B is actually just going to try to play the DM game here, but Deadbolt goes down to Clockwork and a little unable to hit some pipes, and now they're going to get pushed all the way back to 2 and probably last.
No, and Ash goes for a play on the midpoint, but he's much too ugly to actually get a kill there.
Yeah, I think that they went... I don't even know what just happened. Like, it looked like they fought 3v5 and still got wiped because there were 2 people behind them for that cap, although I don't know what happened. It seems like the easiest way to win this map is almost to give up 2 just so you can push across it after someone wipes on mid. Nobody's actually had a really successful push except for, I think, one of the first rounds where 4G came in and just took the point with just sheer out DMing. Deadbolt's really low on this fight, and Ash is gonna kill Blaze and then trade his life for it.
Yeah, I think Ash should have been a lot more, like, better looking for that mid fight. If he wasn't so ugly, that it could have been more successful of a play.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to see how 4G kind of just plays from the low ground, kind of disregarding the crates. It's almost like a granary where your demo is just going to spam the soldiers that jump. It's almost like they're predicting exactly what's going to happen. They don't need to go up top if they can just have Duatna spam pipes there and sickies up on the soldiers that are just clearly going to be standing up there. I mean, Clockwork played off the point and on the ground on the health packs for pretty much the entire mid fight as did Blaze, while Duatna just literally stood on point and spammed. And it worked out pretty well because if you jump both your soldiers and they eat stickies, I mean, you're gonna lose. They're gonna die. I mean, it's as easy as that. And especially since it's really hard for the medic to be healing players that are up on the crates. I mean, you can't get up there. You have to put yourself in a pretty bad position in order to heal them up there.
Yeah, you pretty much have to rotate people in and out. You have to keep a safe distance to heal the people rotating out, and then retaking it with another person that you just finished buffing. So
yeah,
right
4G's
now,
on
4G actually pops, and Ninja Nick has not popped yet. The Uber from 4G is completely over, and Ninja Nick just popped. So this should be a good fight for 20B.
Yeah, they got the pick on Shade there, and that should be enough for them to retake mid. But
they really need to play together. When you get picks like that, 2 picks and a full Uber on the other team, you know, especially with a team like 4G, you know Blaze is going to be bombing in there, going for the medic pick. And only 2 people were with the medic, only 2 people were with Ninja Nick, and only one of them was even paying attention. So it was basically one person, which was a demo, trying to protect a soldier bomb, when it was really obvious.
Yeah, I don't really know what they're getting a little too like ahead of themselves, I guess. They didn't have any need to go rush mid that hard. They got the medic after the Uber. Just send your scouts back, get the heals. Everyone stay on your medic. Don't let Blaze get those shots off. You should be able to kill him with Scattergun just before he can shoot off the 2 rockets, assuming your medic takes both of them.
Yeah, now the big difference with the top teams is when you get a medic pick or a big advantage like that, your flank should immediately come back to the medic. It doesn't matter anymore. You don't have a flank. You should have a blob of 6 players waiting for those bombs, because that's the only thing that other team can do. They either have to run away or they have to kill your medic. Those are actually the only 2 options. And what happened was 20B got those picks and they just played it like they had nothing to worry about anymore. Luckily they did end up taking mid, and the Ubers are even. They do have position on second right now and get a pick on Banny, so we're looking at an easy force here. They could just keep peeking, choke, and spamming while bombing a soldier and force for free.
Yeah, these soldiers are doing a lot of work. This was really well played by 20B. They should be able to just take this unscathed and not have to force.
Now once again, they need to play with our medic. It's obvious they're just going to try their best to force, which happens anyway. I mean, I guess it was inevitable in that situation because it's Clockwork and he's the only good player in the server, but basically any other team that should have stopped the Uber, or that should have stopped the Uber force.
We're gonna see Deadbolt and Paragon actually do a ridiculous amount of damage with just the stickies and the scatter. I don't know if they knew that what's his name, Paragon was standing there, but what wound up happening was Deadbolt got a few stickies off and he was able to just come in and shoot him off the point. I feel like the 20B scouts are getting a little ahead of themselves. You need to pocket the medic. Like, there used to be, like, back in the old Complexity days when they used to pocket Carnage and Enigma for a majority of the fights, and it would work out for them just because the DM was there. Scouts with buffs are way more effective at doing damage to soldiers than soldiers are. If you miss your rockets or you miss your shotguns, you're useless. Scouts have enough loaded ammo to be able to deal with a soldier that's pretty much never going to move, especially if he's mid-jump. I'd like to see the 20B scouts maybe just pocket a little bit more and maybe let the soldiers focus on the roaming, especially once they get these medic picks. They're kind of getting caught out of position and it's costing their medics lives, and which leading into bad fights and bad Ubers.
Man, 20B was like, they were playing it pretty much perfectly for the situation for a while there, and then they just went back to being unaware. They forced the Uber 3 choke. They made sure to spam them through while they were coming through the choke, forced the Uber, and they were in position to back out. But instead of just backing out after the force, they stayed in, and it cost them the match.
Yeah, we're gonna see a 5-0 game for Froyotech.
Yeah, the 20B, I mean, it was kind of a roll, but I feel like they showed the potential to hang with 4G. As long they have to fix a lot of their transitional play. They have to realize when their medic needs to be played on. Like if they get an advantage, they all need to play together. They need to protect their medic because that's the only other option for the team. The other team's either gonna try to force an Uber, or they're just gonna leave. So you can either move together and take the next point, or while at the same time you could be defending your medic from a force. But as of right now, if they don't learn how to do that, they're not gonna be able to compete with a team like 4G.
Yeah, and their DM is not an issue. I mean, you can tell they were finding the frags. Grapes rockets have actually been pretty ridiculously good.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt you, but another thing they need to do is, I mean, Ash is just a really ugly person, and they just need to fix that somehow.